I'll figure. So don't worry, I'll be okay.
All right, there you go. Well, good news is we're already live.
Are we good with lighting?
Yeah, this is it, man.
All right, good. All right, guys, welcome to the Real Estate Reserve podcast studio.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Why don't we just start real quick? Just who you are, just a little bit about that.
Mike Schley, used to work with Ian in the fire department before he quit or
Retired.
Thank
you.
Is there a difference?
Yes, massive.
Big time.
Okay.
So I got 11 years in. Have one rental right now. Working on a few more with Matt. Trying to expand the portfolio.
Excellent.
Matt McDavid. So been with McCormick for 9.5 years. Prior to that, I was an electrician, worked in the construction field, met Schley, actually going door to door, signing up people for home remodeling jobs. And then, I also have a rental, and him and I connected, and he connected me with Ian and Dan, and been trying to just invest and find deals over the past couple of months.
Can we talk about door-to-door sales first? Because door-to-door sales is legitimately the number one. If you can master door-to-door sales, like, you will be a successful person.
Well, that's why
in general. And, like, if you first have the balls to do door-to-door sales, secondly, if you're converting, like, you will be a successful person in life.
Well, that's why the Mormons are so good at it, right? Because they go around and they sell religion all around the world, right? And like Utah, that's the number one place in the country for door-to-door sales because they go out, they all do their missions, and then they come home, and that's the only thing they know how to do is go knock on the door.
The best. And you're doing it for home improvement, right?
Yeah, so, I'll tell you, it's a numbers game, right? I got doors slammed in my face all the time, but I looked like I was 13. I still look young, and I used to tell people my dad owned the company and use that as my way in to make people let their guard down. But I think everybody found a different way to make a homeowner let us sign them up or bring us into their house and then get a quote the same day and ultimately buy roofs for like $40,000, which is crazy when you think about it.
Dude, so the way that was your setup that you'd be like kind of the front man and you go knock on the door and you'd allow the boss manager who,
was two-step sales?
We were called a canvasser, right? We were called
canvasser, that's right.
Yep.
So it would be a group of us, 4 to 5 of us. We'd jump in a car, a hoopty, out in White Marsh. We'd get an area
freaking perfect
by the manager. We drive. Most of the time on weekdays, we drive local. And then I remember Saturdays, we go as far as Bowie.
We probably hit every house in this neighborhood around here.
These are good neighborhoods to do
Saturdays. And so we just get the lead, and then there'd always be incentives for same day and whatnot. And then there'd be the salesman, the roof expert or the window expert go out there and hard sell
freaking love it.
And we get commission. We were 15. Some of us rolling out there with $9,000 checks a month.
Yeah.
At 15?
Yeah. I remember I had a $2,000 commission check because I got a same day, which is I convinced you to have a salesperson come that day and give you a quote. And again, like, he knows I looked like a little kid, but I found leverage in that by telling people like my dad owns the company. He has me starting, young to learn the ropes, and that was a way to like get people to let their guard down.
Did you ever do door-to-door sales?
No, I never did door-to-door sales.
Did you ever try it or no?
Besides the local paper route and like hustling, peddling BS.
You don't even go on the property. You throw that from
No, but you had to go around. Yeah, you did have to go around and collect the money for your paper route, and you used to have the little punch tickets and keep track of everyone's shit.
Got it. I tried it once. I didn't last a full day. Like it's tough. Yeah. It's you either have it or you're not. And I feel like I'm good at some sales. But man, that's tough. You probably didn't know this, but like the first few properties we bought were in Philadelphia and New Jersey, and they were all through door-to-door sale canvassing because I had a partner with Josh, lived up there, and he owned a home improvement company, remodeling company, and that's how they did all their business. So, and he was like, he loved it. Like, he got a from canvassing. So he loved it. Like, he was like, I'm the owner of the company and I'm knocking on your door. And I was like, I'm doing this by myself. Cause like he loved it, but it worked.
The idea sounds great, but then, like in Baltimore, there's some other dynamics that I think you'd have to compete with of like going out and knocking on people's doors.
There was only a couple city neighborhoods we would hit, like Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like, Overly. Some
it's also
city overly.
It's also gonna be homeowner neighborhoods that can afford.
No, I'm talking about like for wholesaling or for like picking up properties. Like, then you gotta worry about the newspaper coming over top saying you're predatory and all this other crap, right? Like, I don't know. It is an interesting model, and I think if you have time, like the most time in the world, and that's actually why we brought Matt and Schley on to kind of discuss their journey trying to get into real estate in one of the most crazy markets and kind of dissect what they got going on. But that is probably potentially a marketing source that nobody else is using right now of going to door-to-door sales on houses. I mean, that could be a good opportunity for you guys or anyone listening. You don't have money, but you got a ton of time. Might be a way for you to go out and just get tries, right?
Hell yeah. Yeah, one thing that was effective for us back in the day was we did direct mail, we did a door knock, or like door, what are those things?
Door tag.
Door hanger.
Yeah, door hanger. So we did, like, first it was canvas signs, or freaking bandit signs everywhere. Sorry, it was bandit signs in a certain neighborhood. It was a direct mail piece. Although those door hangers are cheaper than direct mail, right? Because you pay somebody to just do them and it's real quick. And then it was a canvas team that went, and they feel like they know who you are. And this is also pre-social and like I mean, there's websites obviously, but it wasn't as prevalent.
I think the PPC game right now, and talking with what's his name, Scott from Lamasuo Leads a few weeks ago, it was kind of eye-opening how much the industry's changed. And here we are trying to help these guys out. I'm sitting here thinking about my own business of like how much stuff has changed in just a short period of time and like what's working and what's not.
So when you say like PPC and you talk about the budget, so like what is a budget to convert a lead for like a pay-per-click? Because I would think that's like in the home improvement industry, that's like
high.
Through the roof.
It's high in the home buying industry too.
It's got to be plus four figures, right?
I mean, I think anything that's done online now, especially with pay-per-click ads, has to be what's the word, like molded together with other types of marketing streams.
Yep.
As like for instance, like we don't try to have that $1,000 conversion. We try to have a cheap conversion of just like very basic information, and then follow up after the fact with email campaigns, direct mail campaigns, remarketing campaigns. Remarketing traffic's cheap. I mean, the best traffic is obviously search traffic. Someone's coming on and saying, "Sell my house. I need a hard money lender. I need a roof."
But aren't you? Isn't that what you do inside of McCormick marketing?
I do, yeah. So, but it's a little bit different. So I manage a portfolio. So it's like a portfolio of brands. So it's like a condiments business, and it's like Frank's Red Hot, Cholula, Stubbs. So I manage basically the P&L of that business, but it has different components. Like we have integrated marketing campaigns, right? So if you're running ads through print, you're also running ads like paid per click, et cetera, and you're kind of looking at those streams, and you have higher funnel and lower funnel tactics that you're looking at what's going to convert your business the most, which is the same for, I mean, all businesses are the same in my mind. It's all leads and then converting leads. So it's the same thing for McCormick as it is for, any business.
I mean, if you're not marketing, you're not in business, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest thing. So then I would challenge you guys to say, and again, to be clear, we're helping Matt and Mike right here live on. That's the point of this podcast, is to work through their endeavors of what they're having issues. But I would challenge you guys, is what you know in the marketing world and what you see you guys doing is like, is there a way to convert any of that information that you're using now? Say, well, how can I apply this to our business? What is my top of the funnel? What is my bottom of the funnel? What's our sales process look like to even get a lead in the door? Because everybody right now is chasing realtors, because when you got a rising market, think about it. You're going there saying, hey, I'll buy your house in cash. But you got the realtor saying, I'll give you literally 2x whatever they told you they're going to give you. Yeah. Who's the homeowner going to go with? They're not sophisticated. So you need to find a way to repurpose your marketing. Jay, what do you think about this one right now for them trying to get leads? Is like, hey, we're not a realtor, but we're happy to value your house as like an independent type company, just to get like some information through the door. Like it might be like a dead lead gen for a little bit, but at least they're getting their name out there because like they got the trust process as like an independent evaluator of their property, and they could see more deals. I don't know. I just kind of thought of that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Possibly.
I'd say like the hard thing, I guess, is like you bring up my W-2 job, and it's like, that's a big budget. This budget is like our fund. So to test these things that aren't proven, we're just dumping money into something and it's just going out the door. So that's like the scary thing, I guess.
Also depends, time versus money. Like, do you want to do heavy lifting stuff that takes time, or do you just want to throw money at it and be like, hey, hopefully this pays off? And then
throw money where? Like we got Schley here. We need to discuss where we're throwing money. All right. This is a family show.
Well, yeah, I mean, you throw it into like you test quickly. Like back in the day, like we had our expenses for our home buying company and for our lending company was like very, very little. because we worked our asses off and like we did everything manually instead of paying for it. These days, I'd rather just write a check or pay or test or do something and figure it out quickly. Like it would take a month or 2 months or a year to find something that I can find out in a day just throwing money at something. So I guess that's, and I would guess that you probably want to put in some heavy lifting, not a ton, and you're also okay to put in some money, but maybe not a ton.
Right. I think one of the issues that we're running into is we're getting all these, wholesalers, everyone reaching out to us, right? These houses are for sale. These houses are for sale. I think what's coming to my attention, and I think this is where we have an advantage, but I think this is also where it might hold us back, is being in the fire department. You hear a house on Dolphin Street. Right. I have a hard time picturing that house appraising for $330, $350. Yeah. This is the same street I take 400 runs to a year.
Right. It's also experience just knowing the area.
Yeah. It's an advantage, but it's also I feel like we're being held back because how many houses have we looked at? Have you sent me or Tim sent us and said, I'm like, Landval Street. I'm surprised what these houses are.
But that's also. Jay, so what they're going through is a lot of Class C stuff.
I get it.
Bottom of the barrel Class C stuff. That it's that's where we cut our teeth. But the market was also going in the opposite direction. When you're at the tippy top, that area is going to pop faster. What's that?
I wouldn't mess with those.
Well, no, but when we started, at least when we bought in those areas, we didn't know if it was going to go up, but we also felt like it was the bottom of the barrel at the time. Yeah. Whereas, looking back on it, in hindsight, when we were in it, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But worst case scenario, if I'm out $25,000 or $50,000, I'm young enough, I'll figure it out. And that's something you guys need to decide and figure out, what's right for you to risk on, right? If that house on Landval Street's trading at $100,000, you think it's worth $300,000, and you're all into it at $200,000, are you gonna be okay to have $200,000 stuck on whatever street? Right? Whereas I was in the 4x4 and I was okay with having $50,000 stuck in the 4x4. Worst case scenario, I walk away and I lost $50,000 and it is what it is, or I get back 30 and okay.
Are these rentals or flips? Or both?
Holds. Rentals.
These are
rentals.
All, these are all rentals. Well, but that makes it easier because if you have cash flow, if you can predict what the income on an income approach valuation of what the cash flow is going to be, it makes it easier. The flipping game. You could be stuck.
Right.
You could be stuck.
Absolutely.
So if you have, the ability to finance or self-fund on the front end, plus, let's be honest, banks are still always going to lend, and they did back in the day too. But, they didn't lend to anybody. They lent to qualified borrowers, and they might reduce the LTV, right? So you might have to get what's your upfront plan? Buy them in cash or just get a bank from the beginning?
So hard money.
Hard money. Okay, so you do hard money up front and then get a bank loan after the fact. The banks are always going to do that. You might, get stuck with more cash. Worst case scenario, you get stuck with more cash into the deal than you want, right? Yeah. So it's hey, the goal is to try to get every dollar back out of this thing, and you might not be able to. But I don't think there's a huge fear of the localized banks being I'm out. I'm not going to lend on these things. I would underwrite it as a 7% interest rate instead of a 4% interest rate.
Maybe 70% LTV.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit more conservative. But I think rentals are always easier because equity is kind of a fake number until you need to, have some sort of equity event.
Refinance
or sale, especially if it's a long play.
I think it would help, and it would help the audience to understand because, we obviously know you guys and we jumped right into it. What is your investment goal? What started you guys on this journey? What's your overall goal with why you guys want to buy rental properties or flip houses, whatever it may be? Why do you guys want to get into real estate?
You want to go? Go take it. So, for me, I want to leave the W-2 world. That's something that I know, and I'd say regardless, even what happens, I'm 32. I have a plan to be out of there 40, 45. I've met with a financial advisor. My wife will continue to work. So I've kind of checked the boxes on insurance, all that stuff that I think holds people back from leaving their job and then figuring out how do I have any type of passive income, whether it's rentals, hustling, doing whatever, selling construction jobs. I'll find a way to kind of make it happen. But I think it's more of that freedom. Like, I'd like to volunteer. I'd like to be a coach for my daughter's team when she's older, spend more time with family. We have some family members right now going through health issues, and like, your job doesn't allow you or afford you the opportunity to be around them. And, I feel like I spend so much time there and I'm not getting the most out of life, and I'm chasing money, and it's not all about money. It's about time. Time's the currency of life. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I haven't heard that one in a while. I have not heard that one in a while. That's a good one. Time's the currency of life. I'm sitting here learning from you. I enjoy this shit.
No, you're right, though. You're right. I take that for granted sometimes too. Just because
I think everyone does. It doesn't matter what level. Like, it's also one of those things like the grass is greener. Because like, I've talked to Schley a lot, and we spent a lot of time together. But we've talked about it a lot, and it's like, we have a lot, and we've had we've created a life for ourselves. But there's also a lot of work that goes into it, right? Like, so people are we were talking about this a few weeks ago. We were like, someone was using the word passive. I was like, well, we're talking about the accountant. Or are we talking about life? Because it's still work, whether you have rental properties or not. You still got a lot of work to do with them, right? And, Matt, if you're comfortable talking about it, I mean, you're pretty well compensated. Like, what's up with the corporate world? Like, I know it's like I've never been in it, but I hear it's a way different lifestyle. But they still use and abuse you the way me and Mike got abused at the fire department.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd say it's just a lot of red tape, right? So you think of, yes, anything you do, even if you move into like passive, right, what you're calling, it's all work, but you have less red tape. You're able to make decisions and not influence people across the aisle and up and down, and you're able to do things at a lot faster speed. So like, you're well compensated, but it's not all about money, because the difference is that like, if you need to take off work tomorrow, you own your own business, you can do whatever you want, right? You're going to have to figure it out on the back end. If I want to do that, I got to put PTO in, and I got to ask. So it's very different. But yeah, the compensation is what, it's like, I've watched all these videos of different people. It's a drug, right? Salary is a drug, and I don't want to leave that salary because I feel safe and secure. And it's a hard thing to walk away from when you make like a lot of money, which, I do well in the corporate world, but it's just, I can't see myself being there until I'm.
Dude, I probably made. I probably made half, less than half of what you make in your current position. And Mike, how hard was it for me to leave? I mean, you literally watched me just like, I don't know. And you're like, why are you still here? And I'm like, I don't know.
Right. And we're getting micromanaged. Like, I mean, when I got in the fire department, I feel like it was great. We were on a different shift.
Yeah.
Everyone would help each other out.
Yeah.
You could get people to come in early for you if you needed to. Now it's like the brotherhood, they call it brotherhood, is gone. And like Matt said, like, missing chases lacrosse games.
Well, I say it. Holidays, events. We're there for 24 hours.
Right.
There are no birthdays. There are no Christmases. Right? Like, you were gone for 24 hours.
Right. So it would be nice to be able to look. The fire department's a great career. I'm not going to sit here and knock it. Right. It's fed my family for 11 years, and I eat a lot. So, but with that being said, it's like so much has changed. There's always an agenda behind every chief's motive, next decision, and it's just time to explore the options.
I would say as my success increased, it's kind of like what Matt was saying and exactly what Mike just said. As our success increased, Dan and I, it was like I go to work and they're like, they tell you to do something. I'm like, why am I here? Right? Like, it's that red tape inside of you that you're like, why am I doing this to myself? And again, I'm with Mike. Like, that place fed my family for a long time. Right. And I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the guys. But in the same sense, it's like, yeah, there is more to life than like going there and running into fires and whatever else. And Jay, did you ever work like a corporate job side by side with starting Hard Money Bankers? And like, how'd you deal with that?
Not really. Sort of. I mean, I was a real estate agent when I moved back to this area after college, which I thought was the best job in the world, which wasn't the best job in the world, but I thought it was. Because I was like, well, why doesn't everybody do – like, I remember asking my parents, be like, this is the best job ever. I made like an $8,000 commission check. Why doesn't everybody do this? Like, well, people need more stability. Then I didn't get a check for a while. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Now I got to go sell another house. And then also real estate agents – like, that's a service business. Owning a business, your own entrepreneurial, like, it's not that it's not owning your own business, but like, it's very service oriented. It's like, we do open houses on Sundays. Like, hey, especially in a market like this, like, property comes under contract and you represent a buyer, like, get your ass out of bed and go show them the house. So that makes it tough. So I did that, and I did have a W-2 with a W-2 job as like a mortgage broker. But like there was also flexible. I've never had anything that wasn't strictly commission based, right? So I could make a little bit of money, or I could have made a lot of money, and whatever. I was in my 20s, like nothing else to do except work and make money. That's what we all wanted to, you all want to do, and then party when you partied. I would say for them though, you have, like in my mind, you already know exactly what you want. So then it's like, cool, it's not going to happen all at once. Like let's put, the pieces together, and piece one is cool. We want to replace our income. Let's just say like long-term goal is replace our income. So piece one is like, okay, let's get one asset, one investment that spits out $250 a month, right? And then that $250 a month covers, cable bills, car payment, and then it's like, here's the next one, because it's not like you're gonna just go buy a piece of real estate or an asset or just increase your budget. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna go buy a better car now. Like that's not what.
That's not what you do with the money. You just go buy stuff. Yeah. Oh, you get a raise at work.
Like you're not gonna live your lifestyle.
Paycheck, go
like
jet ski.
It's gonna be like Ian's. Ian made twice as much money or a significantly more amount of money, and his lifestyle stayed the exact same. And that's also based on sometimes maturity. Like I think
Christine.
Yes.
True. Well, you got to keep that out of your household. Like you cannot. She should not be knowing how much money you make on something.
Well, no, I do take. So there's like the base that we get that we take down, and then there's the other additional money that I reinvest back into our deals. Yeah. Right? Because like, why wouldn't I invest in our own deals? And then that money just stays in its own bucket, and it just refills itself. And every time I get more money, and then that's how eventually I want to get to the point where, okay, I know we got our own stuff, but I also have our own family, almost like a family bank of like producing dividends over there as well. And that's just what works for me.
That's a smart way to do it. Like every dollar, if you put $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $30,000 in your home checking account, you're gonna spend it all.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't matter.
That's what it's for. Like just swipes. Like that's what it's for. Like the way we do it, and my business partner Chris does it, is like we have one entity that like we both have similar overhead and stuff, but we have like one entity that covers like everything. Like that entity is the only entity that hits my like personal Bank of America checking account that covers all of everything, and everything else gets diverted to other accounts that gets reinvested in assets or stays there. Because like I don't want it. Like I'll spend it. Like if I have more money, it's like if it's like, oh hey, we got an extra $5,000, like it's gonna go somewhere. Like that's just what it is. So it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I think most rich people, or people, I don't want to say rich people that make a lot of money,
spend.
Yeah, they just up their budget, right? So it's like, hey, I'm making, they're young and they making a lot of money as young W-2 guys. Maybe they make like $10,000 a month, and then all of a sudden they get older and they're making $20,000 a month or 30. Or I mean,
but now they got a 20.
There's people that make millions of dollars a year that can't write a check for.
I was going to say, how many guys? Because we see it all the time in the fire department, and it's not like high net worth individuals. I mean, corporate America. I mean, you got to see guys like Friday's coming along. I need my paycheck, right? Like.
Yeah, I mean, I have even like people that you talk about like spending. I have people that like were in my department or on my team, and I have a sense that like where comp wise is when you're like a manager, and like the cars that they're driving and things like that, and it just but it's like I look at what I live well below my means because it's
and then you internalize it all and you're like, what am I doing? Why am I driving this piece of shit?
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the question I always ask. What am I doing wrong?
It's what you're doing right, and that's the thing. And like there's nothing. And also here's the thing, like having. And this is like kind of hard for I think people to grasp, but I remember our business partner Chris's mom said to him like years ago, like a few years after we owned Hard Money Bankers, we flipped some houses, like we had some income streams. She's like, wow, you guys started your own business? That's really, really risky. And he was like, what are you talking about, Mom? What's risky is you have one income stream from one job. What happens if they close, go out of business, fire you? You're out. And she's like, never really put it that way because
that's not what's taught in school, right? Like it's not. Entrepreneurship's become way cooler since the start of social media.
Agreed.
But there's also a big debate on what true entrepreneurship is, because a lot of guys that are just picking up Amazon stores, that's not entrepreneurship. That's a franchise. It's BS, right? Like, no, you got Bill. He's an entrepreneur. Vadim, Vadim's making bamboo toothbrushes, but that's
Vadim's legit. He owns
that's legit entrepreneurship. I'm talking about them guys who are like, yo, give me $20,000 and I'll open you an Amazon store. That's bullshit. But then I would ask you guys, I mean, Jay, from what you're hearing, this is the first time we're sitting down talking about this. You guys seem to have their shit together.
100%.
I think so, and I'm very close to them, so I can't be a good judge. But what's your guys' number one issue of doing a deal? Where do you think your problem is?
What everyone is saying the house is going to ARV for. Yeah, refi for. It's absolutely crazy. Like I said, I mean, and maybe I'm judging it too hard because of where I work. I think I have, a head start knowing most of the areas in Baltimore City. But with that being said, maybe I'm judging it too hard. And by judging it, just saying I don't see anybody paying $225,000 to live down here on,
whatever street,
block of Bellinord.
Right.
That's McElderry Park. I mean,
yeah,
I've taken 1,000 runs over there on 33 engine.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? And we've talked about this before, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. But what are your thoughts about buying a property that cash flows but doesn't have equity?
Me, I was just.
It doesn't have a lot of equity, but it won't have a lot of headaches potentially either. There might not be need a lot of construction, so there's not a huge value add.
So we were sitting down yesterday with the seller of White House, and she was talking to us. She said, "Hey, I got this house over in Joppa that I owned for a long period of time. She paid roughly $250 in 2006-07, right at the height of it. She's had a tenant there for
in Joppa or on Joppa Road?
No, in Joppa.
Okay,
closer to the Edgewood side.
Yeah.
And she bought it as a new construction house. She's rented it the whole time. You know what RJ told her it was worth the other day? $299. So then we're talking to her about it. I was like, "Are you okay with that?" She's like, "Yeah, it's a $250,000 savings account." That's how she's looking at it, and it cash flowed that whole time.
Agreed.
Personally, when you're looking at rental houses, for us anyway, I was always okay with the premise of if we went in there and bought them and the value never changed over the 30-year life of that loan, and it cash flows, somebody paid. That's everyone's $100,000 savings account or $250,000 savings account, whatever it is.
That's normal investing in a rental property, though. Yeah. I think we're all we're off on our on how we think about stuff locally, especially since the market's been good the last 15 years and everything's appreciated, right? So everyone's expecting to have a value add an equity pop, but really I'm putting whatever $1 in and I'm getting $1.20 back.
Well, I think it's the cyclical cycle of your capital also, right? Because they want to see the value add.
Yeah.
So then they can get some of the cash back to have more funds to redeploy. Otherwise, they take $50,000 and the well's empty, and then they got to wait another 12 months to do another deal.
Possibly, but if that $50,000, obviously you got to look at your own cash on cash return of your own money, right? So, and I understand growth. When you're in the growth phase, it's different than kind of the preservation or the stabilized phase, right? Because the growth phase is you're trying to, leverage up whatever you can to do so, but I mean, if that money's not doing anything for you currently, or if it's not or you're completely outperforming the investment to begin with, I mean, listen, it's not an awful approach, and I mean, you might not agree with this because I know you like to leverage things, and a lot of your business has been growth oriented, which is fine. But it's not the worst thing to buy. Let's just say you buy a house for $1,000 worth, or $100,000, and you get $1,000 a month, or $1,200 a month positive cash flow, and you buy it in cash, and you're net $600 or $700. It's not the worst thing in the world, to buy it in cash and park your cash in a good investment, and it spits out $600-700 a month net. I don't know.
Have you guys considered that? Are you following them?
Yeah, I mean, you're basically, if I'm understanding, in my mind, I would call it like a turnkey property, something that's ready to go out the door, and I'm going to make that return instead of putting in. It's diversifying where our money is already, and we're gonna make that return on that asset. But I think to Ian's point, then your capital, then
Agreed.
It's how long is it going to take for us to build up our funds to find the next deal, and then are we going to keep going the turnkey route, or what?
Is there a way that you guys? So let's just say right now, obviously inventory's hard, right? So if you could find one deal, you've looked at a few turnkey deals because I've looked at a few with you,
right?
And you could buy them, just slam a tenant in there and get cash flow day one. Is there something else that you could do inside the real estate business to produce cash to reinvest into assets?
Yeah, so I have I think I have an MHIC license, so I just did a basement job last month to get cash based on how do I find more money to do something that's gonna enable me to put more money into real estate. So I think there's other ways that Schley, I think you may have asked how did you and Schley get hooked up? Schley is a hustler and right. He knows me and I know him, and I think we could find ways to make money that would enable us to keep doing that. But
I mean, because here's the thing, let's say you had, I'm trying to think of some good examples. Let's say you had $1 million in cash, right? $1 million in cash. What would you do with it? Somebody might say, hey, I got $1 million.
Custom House Alley, baby.
I got $1 million bucks. I don't need, I'm just gonna feed off that. I'm gonna buy stuff. I'm gonna use that. $1 million bucks. You can either have $1 million in cash that's in your savings account, or you can have $1 million in an income producing asset that is spitting out. Because here's the thing, if you have $1 million in cash, in essence, it could potentially give you, replace, I don't know what your guys' incomes are or how much you're trying to replace, but potentially it could give you $10,000 a month in cash flow, right? Because you buy 10 houses, $100,000, make $1,000 a house, whatever the case is. People don't think of it like that, but and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm retired. All I wanted was $10,000 a month, and now I'm retired just because I have that $1 million bucks. Now, there's other ways to do that, obviously, with a lot less money, and you leverage it up, and you buy value-add properties. But a lot of rich people in general, and these are mostly older rich people that have more, capital, but they're just looking for cash flow. They're trying to use their own cash, do cash flow. A lot of us guys that are all younger, we want leverage pieces because then we can make more. But there's also the point of would you rather have 100 houses? Would you rather have 100 houses that are all leveraged up that net $100,000 a year, or would you rather have 10 houses that you pay in cash that net the same amount? So with a hell of a lot of less headaches, because you don't want to own freaking 100 houses, at least in my opinion.
I get all my gray hair.
I mean, it's because you're just but you're giving yourself a job.
And that's what I was about to say to Matt and Mike is there's this fine line, and you're onto it. You're onto something in my eyes, and I could be wrong.
Who, me or them?
Everyone, but really, Matt, is that you're right there, man. If you guys could hustle and produce some extra income, that's really the wet dream, right? Everybody takes their active income, whether you're working W-2, wholesaling houses, flipping houses, contracting, whatever it is. You're finding a way to produce massive amounts of income to reinvest into some sort of passive investment to produce dividends for the rest of your life, right?
Yep.
And I think that's something that you guys should look at. Well, the market is kind of turned upside down, and I think there's going to be a little slack coming here between now and the 2024 election is just my gut feeling. But while that's going on, maybe you deploy the $50,000. Make sure you even like doing rental houses. Just do one house and say, you know what, dude, we put that $50,000 into it. That's the best thing we've ever did. Yo, Matt, I'll go sell roofs. You put the roofs on. Let's just go, dude. Let's go do it. Or I'm gonna work a bunch of overtime at the port or at work, and I'm gonna go hustle some stuff, and we're gonna both come back with another $25,000 each and do it, right? Just a couple of different ideas, because I feel like if you guys don't do a deal, because Shaw's been after this. I mean, Christ, I got the 13 engine 5 years ago, so you've probably been there 34, yeah. So, and just knowing you in the short time that I've known you, that I feel like you guys are gonna get to a point where it's deal fatigue, that they haven't done a deal, and they'll be like, yo, I'm out. This is stupid. I've tried, and then then what?
And this market's hard to do it in, and I'm not. But there's still opportunities. I would say personally, go buy a property that has $400 net cash flow.
And not even maximize. Say you guys have $50,000 on hand. Don't go buy a $200,000 house because you can. Maybe you can get that thing to work as hard as you can and get 2 houses, or maybe you buy a $100,000 house and put down $50,000 to increase your cash flow on it and reduce your leverage piece. I don't know.
Yeah, and you'll replenish that cash flow because you have other ways to make money to do so. But get in with one of them and see. I mean, you might not like buying houses. I don't like buying houses. I don't own really any houses anymore because they're awful. I'm
less worried about and I think you're in the same boat, the cash going out. It's just making those those dividends. And you brought up, like, what do you think's holding us back? Like, the other thing is, like, that model that I'll call it, like this Excel file that I run everything through. Like, I'm ultra conservative on every one of those numbers. Like, probably too conservative, but I just feel like it's like risk proof, where I'm like, okay, if it works through this, then it makes sense. Which is,
I think the model we have is, nothing's bulletproof, but I think it's as close to bulletproof as you can get. I don't think we're
what's the best deal that you've seen? Like what were the numbers on like the best deal out of all the ones that you've looked at?
I mean,
you know off the top of your head?
Like, I would say the one just now that we just looked at, that we just walked through before we came here was probably.
The numbers yet, but we're going to.
I mean, I can tell.
What's purchase price? Ish?
$160,000. It's in Greektown. It's on Macon Street, 338 Macon Street. Everything. The one issue with the house is the rooms, the way that the rooms
small.
are set up. No, it's a bedroom inside of a bedroom.
It's
one a walkthrough.
Yeah, it's one of those walkthroughs, which I was going to ask you about later off the set, but we could talk about it now. Like,
I mean,
what do you do? Do you just knock that wall out, make it a master bedroom? Make it, you know what I mean? Like,
can you get a hallway in there, or can you do a two master suite? You know,
so that'll just if you knock it out, it'll just be 2 bedrooms in.
What a lot of guys do, and because there was a lot over in Highlandtown and Canton, that whole area, they'd wipe that middle room out, and then they would do a double master, and then put the washcloth, the washer dryer in the middle stacked up, and then do back-to-back masters, which is not a bad thing because you think about it, you get like $1,800, $2,100 rent. They're both gonna want their own bathroom, and then it's like their own suites inside of there, and then can you guys get a bedroom in the basement? Not that I don't like doing it, but in that situation, you probably could get away with it and get $2,100 rent, and then 3 people are paying $700.
I mean, I feel like, though, even like looking at it, like I'm like, it's not like I walk through it, I write down everything that it needs. I'm like, it's not even gonna
appraise.
Yeah, so it's like you look at it, and it's just not even there. So that's the struggle where I look at turnkeys, and I'm like, there is things that would make sense from a turnkey perspective. But I feel like a lot of like the comps that you receive from wholesalers are like they're not.
Yeah, they're not
right at all.
Yeah.
Well, wholesalers, I mean, God bless them.
What's your experience been with wholesalers? You like it? No?
None of them are listening.
No, it's
okay.
okay.
They always have. Look, they're used car salesmen, pretty much, right? And they'll send you a million deals. We got to get this one moving. We got to get this one moving. That's what it always says, right?
Yeah.
Have to get it moving. But then they're like, oh, have 2 offers on it. I mean, how many houses are we going to look at?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, right before we're going to look at it, they're like, just so you know, we just received 2 offers on it.
Oh, and it's over 10,000 what we and it's
over
like
10,000 asking, but there's offers not
you got to figure out a way to kind of weed it out so you're not wasting time.
Right.
And it feels like 99% of the time we're wasting time because
and most of them aren't at the right.
My favorite's like
right
when they send something out. They're like East Baltimore, and then it's a West Baltimore zip code, and I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, I already know this is a junk deal because like you haven't done the work to put the right information out. I'm kind of treating this like a mastermind. I'm about to ask these guys like a really goofy question. So, what do you think Mike's? We probably know what Mike's personality type is. Yeah. Right, that's pretty obvious, and I kind of got
about their personality.
I got a pretty good gauge on what Matt's. Have you guys taken a personality test?
You guys got front end and back end, so you're good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're good. You're a good partnership, actually. Like the two of you guys, like business partner wise, because you have.
You want them to get married next? Jesus Christ, man!
You have enough. You asked me what they were.
We are in Howard County, so it's legal. No, but what I was going to say is like, I think they're both risk adverse enough that they could get and endure the process of renovating a house. Obviously, being a contractor, I feel like you could see the nugget at the end of the tunnel. But in the same sense, like, what do you think your stress level would be of renovating a house and trying to get to being a rental? Like, would that stress you out versus buying something that cash flows on day one and you're like, you know what, put money out, I already got my first monthly payment, and that makes me feel good?
I mean, for me, the stress is time. It's not the work and knowing what's involved and figuring out the pricing. Like, I remodeled my entire house. I had another house that I owned and offloaded that I like remodeled like top to bottom myself. So that's not, but it was before I had a daughter. Now it's like the time piece. I feel like, so I'd say not that stressful, but it's the time aspect of like getting the material there and knowing how much it actually cost versus someone else coming in and making a lot of money off of it. But
good.
No, I mean, we have the contractors in line. Like we have the guys that do the work.
Okay. let me rephrase this. I'm gonna cut you off real quick. We buy a house. You guys buy a house. Matt opens the wall and goes, "Fuck, this thing is falling down. Mike, it's going to go $20,000 over budget. It's going to cost us an extra 6 months because I got to get full architecturals, the whole nine." How stressed would you guys be if that happens? Don't lie.
I'll write the check.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I have enough money saved where it's like it's not a concern. Like it should be. I'll learn from it, and we'll probably
be a learning experience.
Yeah, we're gonna be.
They'll be pissed, but it's not gonna
right. It's not gonna. It's not gonna deter me. Yeah. It's not gonna throw me off.
I didn't think they'd be like, "Yeah, it would stress the shit out of me." And then you know what? We should just buy a turnkey rental. I think they really are a good fit to buy value.
We need to do better
stuff.
Next time. We shouldn't do that again. That was a bad. We're stupid.
I don't know. I'm kind of at the point. Like I kind of think that they should do something with very little work. Just because it's not going to be a lot of time.
Like, swing the bat.
I know. Swing the bat. Do one deal. And I don't think like this is the market to buy hundreds of deals anyways right now. I mean, the market's tough right now. So you do one that still works, that still cash flows.
Well,
if you guys could find a good hard money lender too.
Because I've been talking to Ryan Murphy. I know you know Ryan. Do you know Ryan? Yeah. And he's like very conservative, which is very good to have. And he's, very take your time. Don't rush. Don't off. But meanwhile, on the back end, your boys are just reeling in houses. Like, he knows guys have done 7 deals this year.
I know guys that have done more than that this year. But I think the difference is like where they are in their stage. They can afford some dogs, or they have enough. They have enough properties that like they don't need to net that much off of their door. Like per door, but then they're also
you also don't know what their back end is if they're even making money.
Yeah, how do you know how much capital they're slamming into every deal?
I said we don't know what their numbers are. We don't know what their end goal is and what their cash flow is. So
here's the other thing. Like if you guys bought I still think like you should buy more of a turnkey deal in a market like this because then you don't have to do a hard money loan on the front end, right? Which is gonna eat up a good bit of it. You just get a bank loan in place. With it, you put down the down payment. I mean, what do you think a bank loan does on a nice livable house right now? 80 LTV, maybe higher, maybe 90 LTV.
I mean, if they did it in their personal names, you could probably get some something stupid.
And I mean, you can go to an institutional back lender, like an institutional back. I don't like to even call institutional back hard money lenders, but that's what it is. And they'll give you like 90%, loan to cost on the particular deal. You put down 10%. Plus closing costs, right? So each of you guys are putting up 7.5% of your own money on the deal. It's not a ton of capital, contribution up front. And, hopefully it brings in $200 each a month or $400 net a month and see if it works. And
so I got a question to that. So like that all makes sense, but like in this market, aren't people going in and just buying those houses in cash, right? Like, don't you? So, like, I think that's the other thing you see, and like they're paying over that because it's like a safe haven for their cash, and they're making those, quote unquote dividends. Yeah. And I feel like maybe I'm making excuses, but I feel like every time I look,
Agreed. I'm not. Yeah, agreed. I'm not saying like you can just pluck whatever you want off MLS.
Or we just put up. Maybe we drum up enough cash and we get all our cash in it and then refi it out.
Yeah, that's an option as well.
So I mean, I was talking to my brother yesterday, and he's trying to do some government contracting stuff. So he bid on this government contract, and it's a blind bid, and he's sitting there beating himself up. So he calls me. He's like, "Dude, like I wrote this whole thing up. I'm trying to figure it out. I think it's going to cost X." He's like, but then I'm worried that I didn't do it. I said, get up and walk away. Just get up and walk away. Give it 24 hours to cool off. And then when you're done that, go back and say, you know what? If nothing else, and this is what I get paid, and you're going to make it work, is it okay, right? He's like, yeah, that makes sense. And he's like, yeah, but what about the other people bidding? And he keeps going back to that. I said, all right, you lifted weights for a little bit. You worked out. We all know what lifting weights is about. It's not about what you're lifting. It's about what I'm lifting. And what I'm working against myself at. It doesn't matter. You go in, the biggest guy in the gym might be doing, benching 135. And you're like, well, that guy is that big and he's only doing that? Shit, I can't do that. No, that guy's on a deload this week or whatever it is, right? Like, don't internalize your problems. Don't compare yourself to the other guy. I get it. You might be doing.
That's spot on, though. That is, I'd say, my challenge. I look at today and see all these people and what they're doing, and I'm like, what are we doing wrong? Like, how are we not? But I'd say that's like spot on, right? You look at everyone else, and it's like, are we going to look back and we're going to be like, man, we're stuck still doing the same thing, You know,
everybody does that. It's the same. Just stay off of social media. Like,
that's how you have to find a house.
I know. Yeah. But like that's the issue with everybody. It's like, damn, like this guy's doing this many deals. He can afford this car, and it's like, whatever. You don't know what happens behind the scenes. Yeah. And I already know that both you guys are more successful than all those guys, and probably more successful. I mean, listen, you know as well as I do that a lot of the most successful people we know are not full-time real estate investors. They invest in real estate, but like they have full-time jobs, they have other businesses, they have other stuff that they do. I mean, listen, I'm never one to just say, hey, go do a deal and learn from it, like get an education from it. Like I'm kind of anti that, but I think it potentially makes sense. Like just think of it as, and again, like I also don't necessarily think you should take $200,000 or $100,000 and go buy a property in cash and just have good cash flow on it. I'm somewhere kind of in between that. Like I think that buy a halfway decent deal that you can live with that has some built-in equity. It's not gonna have a ton. It cash flows. You put some of your cash in. You get a bank loan, and see if that's the direction you want to be in. And also, a lot of people are sidelined because successful people are sidelined and they're looking for, I don't know if it's the term like wealth preservation. That might not be the best term, but like they're taking their capital and they're taking their resources and they're kind of putting into more hands-off, easy, conservative assets right now, knowing that like, hey, I want to be available and ready when the market shifts again. Yep. And they're not just buying tons of stuff.
Yeah, I think you guys are in a good position. Is there, we've been going for an hour, and I feel like I got value out of you guys. I mean, have you guys gotten some value and, like, gotten a more clear vision for your potential investments? Or, how do you guys feel? Besides the fact that you're sitting in the psychiatrist chair, and we're going to keep breaking you down.
Nah, I mean, I appreciate the input. Telling us to do a deal. I'm probably the riskier guy out of these two.
You don't say. I wasn't going to bet on that one.
Just go Google disc personality type.
Yeah, you guys taken disc personality?
And you'll know who's who.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
It'll be so obvious.
It'll be so obvious.
Do it. Actually, I might open the computer before you guys leave and make you do it. Because literally, when you click all of them, and me and you should take a bet on what they are. Because we already know
what they are.
But we should write them down just to prove that we knew what they were.
Oh, ahead of time.
Yeah.
I thought bet each other.
Yeah. No, we should write it down and hand it to them and say, all right, go take this test and then open our
I mean, they'll have some overlapping stuff, but it'll be DISC.
Yeah, guaranteed. But that's what me and Dan are. That's what Dan and I are.
But you'll have some overlap. They'll have some overlap stuff.
Obviously, he's gonna have some D because he owns a contracting company.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah, he'll have some D. No one's better than worse. They're all equal.
It's just knowing who.
It's just knowing who you are and how to communicate.
So
with
if you know Matt, So C and S are kind of like the conservative type and very like got to check the boxes, right? Like so if you know that's him.
Well, some analytical. Some analytical. Not like if you're only C, like you're a spreadsheet jockey, accountant by yourself, like only analytical, and you're not only analytical, but you have some analytical.
But Schley's D&I because he's a decision maker and he talks and he's got an outgoing personality, right? Yeah. But now that you guys both know this, it's like Mike sees a deal and he just wants to go for it, and you're like, no, time out. Let's go through this, right? And then vice versa. Now you guys need to figure out how to make your two personalities gel to work towards a common goal of whatever it is, that you guys are trying to do, which is ultimately buy a deal. So if you know Matt's being conservative, like, yo, dude, let me get some help. Let me show you why this is not right. Or vice versa. He's like, yo, this is a great deal. And you're like, yo, I got to slow you down. Here's why. Work off that, you guys are laughing. So I'm sure you're already doing that exact stuff, right?
Bose, maybe?
Yeah.
I can't even find that place on a map, but I'm ready to go there.
Where is it?
Bose.
Oh, Boaz, yeah.
Yep. Can't even say it, but he's ready to go there.
Boaz, Alabama. You guys got any other questions before we roll?
I mean, I would just say I think it's helpful because it changes our perspective in, like, the exact thing we've been looking at, which is, like, value add, which I think we should probably talk about. Maybe we do look at something else and get reps in, like, in a different way and kind of figure it out from there, which is not the way we've been looking at it.
I think conceptualizing it out loud, besides just you, and like I know we've talked to Schley probably a lot more than we've interacted, but in the end, like talking about it, like sitting down, like actually having a group to talk about it in, I think is really important as well. Whether it's an online forum, It's, not to be an online, one of those guys that just post everything you're doing, and or finding a group to be a part of. I mean, this is what happens inside. Like, my wife always makes fun of me. Why you go all these masterminds? This is literally what we do. We break down the challenges that everyone are having. I mean, Jay, you've been a part of some legit masterminds in the past too, that have helped excel your business. That there's certain hurdles that you're never going to be able to get over, and you both are going to keep jumping on the same damn hurdle.
All it is hearing yourself say it out loud, and like that's how you have the aha moment, right? Like you hear someone say it and it triggers something, and you say it and you're like, oh, I figured it out.
Well, usually
because you're not ready, you might not have been ready for it. Like, Glenn will be like, oh, I told you that a year ago, and it's like, I wasn't ready for it a year ago. Like, or I'm ready for it now.
Or usually I say something, I'm like, God damn, that sounds so stupid. I'm like, oh yeah, we talked about this somewhere, and then I'm like, yep, no, need to fix that.
And now it resonated. I mean, listen, value adds are ideal, but again, there is risk, versus the reward on some of those value adds. I mean, like if you want to go take on a big, hefty, big project, this isn't all about, hey, I want to maximize money. It's also like, I want to maximize life and money together. And that's why I think maybe, a smaller project with less equity might end up working in this particular case. That still has obviously it still has to have good cash flow. But most people aren't chasing high cash flow. They're chasing high equity because they want to get a big pop.
Yep. Right. And you guys know that you want cash flow. That's what you search out. And I'll tell you guys a quick story. I've told it before, is that, the reason I got into real estate, my in-laws selling service outdoor power equipment. Guy came in every year, would buy new equipment, didn't come in one year. And they said, hey, what happened to you? And he's like, well, I sold everything because I bought a house a year for 30 years. I wound up with 30 rental houses, and the majority of them are paid off, and I'm free. I'm done. He shut down his landscaping business, and that was it. So there is some merit to taking your time and doing it in a coordinated way. That's not, look, what we did was out of control. I won't say out of control, but like we were in a really good market to do that, and there's going to be a time and place. In the meantime, do the deals that you can do. And then as it grows and then the opportunity arises, you'll have the speed and availability to do it because you've already done a deal, not waiting to do a deal.
Yeah, but your stuff also, it appreciate, they were good value add deals, but like you've given yourself a fair share of work behind that. You've had a fair share, and that might not be what other people want. I don't personally want that. That's why I don't like to operate real estate, because I understand
That's why you fund idiot.
You were finding deals in the heyday. Like, what were you paying?
Well, our average buy cost in the city, we'd pay if we paid $25,000 for shells, that was a lot. And in the county, if we paid $50,000 for a shell, that was a lot.
Yeah, but this is the same conversation that people had in like the early 2000s to like 2008. Because I was there then and I saw it. And 2008, like, people were paying a premium for stuff, and it just like overnight 40-50% decline. So, and I'm not to state that will happen, but. And also, you guys are smart enough to know, like, hey, I'm just not going to.
So an event,
like, you'd rather not buy anything.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't put too much pressure on, like, hey, we got to buy stuff. Like, find a deal that works, that cash flows. I think the flipping stuff's harder because there's less, there's more risk and there's less reward now. But I think the rental stuff, as long as it, makes sense on a cash flow basis, I don't see how you can lose. Well, as long as you're into it for the long run.
We got to buy two because I came on the resolution and I said that. Buy two this year.
Perfect.
So got to buy two.
All right, well, we got to do one first, right? But here's the other thing is, like, to Mike's point is, like, we went in 2012 when everybody's coming out of 2008. They all got their dicks kicked, and like we're just blind idiots. Like, yeah, we'll buy a house. What do you mean people can't get money? Like, we just kind of did it, right? Like, we were blind and had no clue what was going on, which was actually probably a competitive advantage at that point. Yeah. Where you guys might have a competitive advantage is like there's hyperinflation. Everyone that was in 2008, they're getting scared. They might not buy. Interest rates are going up. Oh, my God. And all these people start fleeing. I mean, when people are running out of a burning building, what should you do? Go run in the goddamn thing and put it out. That's when right. People are evacuating the real estate market and you're like, well, why is everyone leaving? Interest rates? Oh, my God, I shouldn't do a deal. No one else is doing a deal. Again, that's why you don't want to compare yourself to anyone else. Oh, they're all gone? Great. I'm coming in. It's time to go. Yeah. Buffett talks about that in that one book, Snowball.
100%. Doing the opposite of what the market's doing.
Yep. Yeah. What books you guys into? I know yours have a lot of pictures in them. You guys books, podcasts? Like, what do you
Comic books are good.
Yeah.
Pictures.
I mean, like the book that I'm reading again is because I was moving into a sales role. It's like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Great book. Just like, but I read other stuff that's like more for fun too, not just always like self-help books, as I'll call them.
Yeah, the only like non-self-help book. Oh no, we did American Kingpin. I enjoyed that one. The guy from Silk Road. That was pretty good. It was like he talks about his whole story, but I would say the number one is still for me is Atlas Shrugged. That's the first time I've ever run like a fictional book.
Wait, what is it?
Atlas Shrugged.
I know like the Atlas by Ayn Rand, but I
don't that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, that was that's like the only like what was it? No, fiction, non-fiction, fiction book, not real book that I read. Right, like that wasn't like a document. And dude, it was so good because it was a lot of relevant topics. But man, that book is good.
The last book, War Horses, great book.
Yeah,
it's about the guys that went into Afghanistan on horseback, and it's like a true story. And
really,
yeah, it's a good book.
I'll have to pick that one up.
There you go.
I'm doing
We own this city now.
What was that?
Yeah.
We own this city.
We own this city.
It's about Baltimore. It's about.
Is that the H1 that made the HBO thing?
It's good.
Is it?
It's new or older?
It's Justin Fenton wrote it. It's probably about a year old.
He's a newspaper writer or whatever, local.
Right.
And then
he just left though.
Yeah, so they did the book, and then now it's out on HBO as a docu-series or whatever. So
not familiar, but I'd check it out.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. You might not ever lend in Baltimore again after that. You might not want to read it, buddy.
I don't lend in Baltimore right now.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes.
That's a lie. You lie. You lend in Baltimore, but
no, we do.
Where's the best place people can find you? Like if they have a deal and they want to reach out to you and say, "Hey, I got a deal. I'm not a bullshit wholesaler. Or I'm a realtor and I got some deals laying around." Where can they find you?
Drive to Pensy and Lawrence.
Yeah.
I'll probably be found there on a medic run with a blue bag in my hand.
Yeah.
No, you can email us, firstinpropertiesmd@gmail.com, or call us.
Yeah, 410-207-5396.
We'll put it.
Find us on Facebook, anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're both on Facebook, Instagram, and then firstinpropertiesmd@gmail.com is the
nice.
Yeah, we'll toss you. We'll put the info in the show notes. We'll get people to someone's gonna find you with a deal. I got high hopes.
And you know what kind of deals they like now, and it's good. Like it's not like we'll do anything. We'll go here, we'll go there. We do this, we do that.
Yeah.
Like you have a pretty dialed in game plan of what's what. And if it doesn't work, you don't buy a deal for another year. I mean, I think you should, but like if you don't, then you don't. Like you don't need to. Like people that need to do deals, God, if real estate investors like over the last few years that needed to do deals over and over, like they're the ones that get themselves in trouble because most of the deals they're doing, they're not even making money on the thing. They're just kind of keeping their workers moving forward, and that's how you get yourself in trouble.
Well, the good news is you guys on your 2 rental properties you all getting rent checks, and all 4 of us are getting dividends later on this week from some other investments. So put your money to work and make it. That's all you can do, right?
Like find K1 form too. Finally, dude.
Yeah. Oh God, Louisiana is a messed up state, boy.
I was gonna call you.
Yeah, don't worry. A lot of people are calling. It's a messed up state. So, but either way, thanks for coming on, and we're gonna have to. This is our docu-series now. We're gonna follow their path over the next 12 months, because he did get on there and say he's going to buy 2, and after they do their first deal, or whether you
when was that? That was 3 months ago, too, right?
3 months. It was at the beginning of the year.
Quarter in. All right.
So
it's all right.
Look, you're going to follow me to some bad spots, but
no, we'll follow. The fans will love it, dude. I can't wait. So, but
get the GoPro out.
Yeah,
Get the GoPro.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.